We're going to turn now to Japan. Radiation levels in the seawater outside the crippled nuclear plant have reached new highs this morning, but an American expert on the front lines inside the plant has some encouraging news. Our Neil Karlinski in Tokyo spoke with him, and Neil, this comes as officials are trying all kinds of new measures to get the reactors under control.
They sure are, George. And we spent the day with that American doctor. He is also a radiation expert, and he is here specifically to advise the Japanese government. His headline this morning: this is no Chernobyl, and it won't be. He says the radiation threat should remain a very localized problem.
At the Fukushima plant today, extreme measures. They're now considering draping enormous tarps over 3 of the reactors to contain the radiation, a plan that's never been tried before. And despite the Japanese obsession with robots, it is the U.S. government that's come through with a squad of radiation-hardened robots to do some of the most dangerous work. That dangerous work is something American Dr. Robert Gale is one of the few to see up close. Here he is at what's called J-Base, the staging area for nuclear experts and doctors about 12 miles from the reactors. He says it is a place filled with helicopters and even tanks, people in hazmat suits being monitored by the minute as they come and go from the reactor.
The workers, I know, feel that they're not getting enough information. There isn't time to really give them a course on radiobiology.
Dr. Gale spent years working in Chernobyl and is now in Japan to advise the Prime Minister's office directly on safety measures. His bottom line: the health risks have been overblown, and that includes those working inside the reactors.
I don't think that they are at extraordinary risk unless something really goes wrong.
So are you saying that years from now we are not going to see a percentage of these guys, the Fukushima workers, coming down with unusual rates of cancer?
That would be extremely unlikely. Extremely unlikely.
In fact, he spent a full day inside the exclusion zone with no protective gear or monitoring device of any kind. He says the radiation is not dangerous enough, even in the exclusion zone, to be harmful over a matter of days. The real danger for an adult, he says, would take prolonged exposure.
He is so confident in his own health, he says he has no plans to get himself tested. By the way, he says he expects it will take them months to get these leaks contained with the radioactive water and years to get the entire situation contained. George?
But he does have that reassuring news, Neil, which is so good to hear. But what about the 3 workers inside the plant who've had to be hospitalized? What's the latest on them?
This is so interesting. They were released. They had severe radiation burns to their feet and their legs. I think most people expected they would have a long-term dire prognosis. He says no. The kind of radiation they were exposed to only damages the surface of the skin. They have burns. He says he would expect them to have no long-term risk of cancer.
Okay, well, that is good news. Okay, Neil, thanks.